Hey everybody, my name is Brandon from thestocksnews.com, and today I want to talk about Sundial Growers, ticker symbol SNDL. What I want to do first is I want to go into Google and talk about the news surrounding Sundial stock and how it is up over 100% in just a single week. And then I want to go into the earnings report to talk about how Sundial stock is doing as a business, and then I want to go into the trading charts to see if there's a level or two to buy Sundial stock if we want to buy Sundial stock. So now let's get started. So here we are in Google, and as you can see, Sundial really had a fantastic week, up over 100% in just a week, even though we dropped around 20% today. So of course, the first question we should ask is, why did Sundial jump this week? When we look at the news surrounding Sundial stock at the moment, we actually see a lot of news going on at the moment. And some of these articles are talking about the massive momentum swings that could be coming from Reddit and the WallStreetBets crowd. From my observations, there is a bunch of talk on the subreddit right now about stocks like these. And this definitely supports the theory that this is a retail investor driven phenomenon. Just to extend this point a little bit here, I just wanted to say that Sundial really fits the bill of a stock that retail investors are really interested in right now. Firstly, the market that they are in certainly appeals to the young retail investors who are willing to take on a lot of risk. Secondly, if we scroll back up here, we see that the stock price is really cheap, $2.38, and this alone really appeals to retail investors because they consider this as a cheap stock. So, to be clear, just because a stock is a penny stock does not mean that it is cheap. Cheap should refer to the market cap or comparing the market cap to revenues or to earnings. Cheap should not refer to a share price, but this is actually playing into market psychology here. A lot of us think that this $5 stock is cheap because, $5 is not that much money. But a stock like Amazon, whose stock is over $3,000, appears more expensive, even though it may be actually cheaper when you compare the market cap compared to sales or to revenues. But now let's talk a little bit about why we sold off today. One of the things that I'm seeing on WallStreetBets is, of course, the short squeeze. If we take a look at the number of short interest, we see a 5.5% short interest, which is obviously not as high as GameStop or AMC was. This is also a smaller number than Tilray short interest as well, but that's not the main point I want to make here. The main point was that Sundial issued new shares during a secondary offering. And honestly, a smart move. As a company, they should be taking this opportunity to sell shares while the stock price is high. However, what this does is that it basically eliminates short squeeze potential. So, don't get mad at me here, but this is just math. The short squeeze works because institutions owe other people shares. And if there was no secondary offering, then the supply pool is still constrained to the initial conditions, and the institutions would have to bid up the stock to buy shares from current share owners. However, because Sundial offered new shares which have no owners at the moment, they basically increased the supply pool. Now institutions don't have to outbid each other for other people's shares. They can instead just snag up the shares that they owe from the secondary offering, thereby allowing them to cover their shorts without affecting the share price too much. But after talking about the momentum and short squeeze potential of Sundial, I want to talk a little bit about some other reasons why Sundial had a nice 100% increase in a week and why it could continue higher as well. The main point I want to make in this section is the potential legalization of their market and of their product in the United States. So keep in mind that even though Sundial is a Canadian company, the company's market and product is still federally illegal in the United States. This argument is actually more for the broader space than for Sundial specifically, but because Chuck Schumer from the United States Senate made some comments about legalization, we could see large growth for the Canadian and new American companies. Another side of the coin here is that because it is federally illegal in the United States, institutional investors aren't really involved in this space. Because of that, the thinking goes that once the United States institutions are able to invest in the space, that will likely push the stocks up higher. And honestly, I actually think that this is a fundamentally positive bull case for the stocks of this type. Now, this is just feelings and opinions with no real hard quantitative facts to back this up, but I do believe that the probability of decriminalization in the United States is quite high. I think that the decriminalization legislation has a higher probability of passing through Congress than legalization. However, I also do believe that legalization has a relatively high chance of passing as well. Again, these are just feelings and opinions, and they definitely could be wrong, but those are just my thoughts. Now, I normally try to avoid making investment decisions based on my feelings with no quantitative facts, but these are my educated guesses based on qualitative facts. I think that if we see legalization coming around the corner in the United States, then the share prices of all of these types of stocks could definitely go higher. But now that we've talked about the reasons of why I think Sundial grew over 100% in a week, now let's talk about the fundamentals of Sundial in general and to see how Sundial is doing as a business. So here we are in Sundial Growers earnings report, and here we are in the statement of operations. And as you can see, they give us a nice year-over-year view, with the most recent quarter being this one, ending on September 30th, 2020. So as always, let's start with the gross revenues here, and we can see that we are actually dropping revenues year over year. I mean, this is like a 40 to 50% drop in revenue year over year. Immediately that is concerning to me, and I looked at the note that they gave down below, but it looks like they didn't acknowledge the falling revenues at all. I had to check like 3 times to make sure I was looking at this right, but unless I'm mistaken, we are dropping here, and I have no idea why. If you do know, let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll pin the comment. The next thing I want to point out here is Sundial's margins. So we can see that by comparing this net revenue and cost of sales here. I'm going to ignore these guys here. I just want to see the pure margins. So we can see that even ignoring this inventory obsolescence thing, just look at the increase in taxes that we are seeing year over year. So even though we are dropping revenues year over year, we can see that our taxes really jumped year over year. And this is actually quite concerning to me. These taxes are really hurting our business here and are really cutting into our profits. You can see that our profits, even without inventory obsolescence, we're only capturing about 2 million Canadian dollars this year compared to 8 million Canadian dollars last year. So again, something to consider if you are paying attention to Sundial's fundamentals here. Just to cover the other operating expenses here, I'm just going to focus on the major 3 operating expenses that every company has, which is general administrative, sales and marketing, and research and development. So firstly, I do like what I'm seeing from the shrinking of expenses from the general administrative tab year over year and the sales and marketing, which is also decreasing year over year. However, when we look at the research and development, I also see it shrinking as well. And I've said this before, I do like companies who are shrinking general administrative and sales and marketing, but I want to see increases in research and development. The reason for this is because investing in research and development is really investing in your product and your business, which will propel your business forward. You need to secure the future of your business by making sure that your business is on top of the current technology. Because we are shrinking expenses so much year over year, I fear that they may not be able to keep up with the changing technologies in the future. And this is going to be incredibly important because when other competitors come up, they could have better technologies, even better than Sundial Growers right now. So if they want to keep up with competition, they have to keep up with the technology. In order to do that, you do have to invest more in your research and development. But with all that said, Sundial Growers is not really a fundamentally driven story here. That's not why the stock is up over 100%. This is truly a momentum story. So with that in mind, let's head on over to the trading charts to see if there's a level or 2 to buy Sundial Growers if we want to buy Sundial Growers. So here we are in Sundial Growers trading charts here, and as you can see, in just a couple days we have been really riding the elevator upwards. So we opened incredibly strong today, up over 30% in the pre-market hours, but then we fell down and closed about 20% lower on the day. But like full context here, we are up over 100% in about 3 days. So a pullback like this should be relatively expected. So first things first, let's take a look at some support and resistance levels for Sundial Growers. So firstly here, because we only have a couple days of actual trading data, we don't have a strong resistance level at all, and I don't see clear resistance levels. You could say that a close here on February 10th is a resistance level around $3, or you could say that the open here around $4 is a resistance level, but to me, that's not enough to call a resistance level. one of the things that you want to see when finding support and resistance levels is something like this, where we see that the price stays stable for a few days. This is because this is showing an equilibrium of buyers and sellers, and this equilibrium shows that people had a stable agreement on the fair value of the price of the stock for a couple days. So, as you guys may be able to tell by now, this is the first real support level that I see, around this 115, 130 level here. You may also say that this 180 level here, splitting the difference between the top of this candle and the bottom of this candle, is a support level as well. But to me, the 115 and the 130 level is the closest, strongest support level that I see. So, even with that being said, even though we are down today, I would not be surprised if we still go higher, because we are still in a pretty well-defined uptrend. You have to be careful here, however, because the momentum-driven stocks are really driven by the crowd. If the crowd loses interest or gets scared by the 50% downfall and scatters away, then you may be left holding the bag. But again, because this is a mostly momentum-driven story, we could keep going upwards. Now let's just cover the other major indicators here to be thorough. This is the MACD here, which is a measure of momentum, and the RSI, which is also a measure of momentum. And no surprise, we are all sky high on both of the momentum indicators. We do see, however, that the RSI is correcting downwards away from the overbought territory. But if we look back here and look at the stock chart on the last time that the RSI was overbought, we did have a little correction downwards, but we still kept climbing the mountain upwards. So this just proves that even though the RSI is a little bit overbought, it does not automatically mean that Sundial stock will correct downwards. So that was my review on Sundial Growers. Let me know what you thought about it in the comment section down below. If you have any questions or if you caught any mistakes, also drop me a comment down below. If you liked the video, please like the video. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.